In the previous project, I discussed project one and then how we can write a program that we can create this. I want to write another program that I display the same output, but I use variables. I go to my Visual Studios. I start a new project in Visual Studios. I give it a name, which is Project One Revised. I create a project. I go to the file. I click View Solution Explorer. I right click on the source file, add new item, add. So I want to write a different program that does the same thing. I say hashtag include iOS trip. I say hashtag include Ironman IP. I type using namespace std int main. I have a function that ends with return 0. I put a breakpoint here and I run my program. So I have a program that doesn't show any outputs. Let's take a look at the project one. I want to write a program that I display this rectangle and this square. I want to use members of Ironman IP. So to create the first line, I go back to my Visual Studio. I say cout double left arrow double quotations dash. Rather than double quotations, if I use single quotations and I run this, if I go to my output, I will get a single dash. Now I want to run this program and get several of these dashes. I go back to my Visual Studio. I say set W20. I say set fill. I put double left arrow, double quotations, double quotation. I take this one. Let's try this code. I get an error here. If I put another double left arrow and I run it, I get several dashes. I want to put some spacing here. So if I run this program and I look at my output, I'm getting some dashes there. I go back to my Visual Studio. I say cout double left arrow, set W. I put 10 here. Double left arrow. I put space, double left arrow. I'm creating a box of size 10. I'm putting nothing in it. Let's take a look at my output. Rather than 10, I use 5 here. And I run my program. If you look at my output, I get some spaces here. I get some dashes. Rather than 20, I put 15 here. I want to put some more spaces, and then I repeat this code. I copy this code here. I put it here, and then I put end L, and I run it. So I have a box of size 5. I put nothing in it. I have a box of size 15. I put dash. I have a box of size 5. I put nothing, 15 dash. If I run this program and I look at my output, I get some dashes here. So I want to explain how this code works. When I say set W5, so first of all, this set W is defined in IOM IP. When I say set W5, I'm defining a box of size 5. I put nothing in it. I'm creating a box of size 15. I say the set fill is dash. This set fill means I want to fill that box with dash. I'm putting nothing in it. Set W5 means I have a box of size 5. With this set fill, I can say what do I fill the box with? I say set fill nothing. And I put no string in it. So set W15, since I have a box of size 15, I fill it with dash and I put nothing in it. Let's run this code. I can get to, if I go to my output and I share it with you, I get 2 lines here right after each other. So rather than 15, I can make it like 12. And I run it. If you look at my output, I have 2 lines here. Let's take a look at the question. Question 1, we want to create these two, and then we have 2 other lines, dashes here, and then rectangle and square. I go back to my Visual Studio. I go to the next line. I say CL double left arrow, set W5. And I put nothing in it. I say double left arrow, I just put a dash here. And I run my program. If you look at my output, I'm getting some dashes here and then some dashes here and a separator here. I go back to my code. I change the set fill here. I say double left arrow, set fill. And I put nothing there. So if I run my program and I go to the output, you can see we have a dash there. I want to put some spaces here. I go back to my code. I say double left arrow, set W12. Double left arrow, nothing. And then I put a dash here. And I put an end L here. If I run this program, I'm getting, if you look at my output, I'm having 2 different separators here. I reduce the number of my box to 10, and I run it again. Rather than 10, I make it 8. Or let's make it 9. I got the first part of my box. I go back to my Visual Studio. I want to put some spacing there. I say set W and I put 10. And I put double left arrow, double quotation, double quotation, and double left arrow. So let's look at this out. If I look at my code, I have some space there. I want to put another dash there. So I put double quotation, double quotations. If I run this code and I go to my output, you can see that I'm getting another dash there. I reduce the box size to 7. If I run this code and I look at my output, if I change that 7 to 5 and I run it again, let's make it 6 and try it. If you look at my output, you can see I created the second line there. I want to put some spacing here. So I say set W. I go back to my code. I say set W 10, double left arrow, and I put nothing there. And I create another dash here. Let's try it. I reduce that 10 to 8 and I run it. Let's make it 9. You can see if you look at my output, you can see that I created the first line and the second line. If I just copy and paste this code 5 times, if I copy and paste the first line of code here, and I run it, if you look at my output, you can see I created both boxes. Let's take a look at the question again. Under this box, I'm displaying rectangle and square. I go back to my Visual Studio. I say see out double left arrow. I want to put some spaces here. I say set W 5. Or let's make this 10. Double left arrow, and I put nothing here. And I put end L. After I put some spaces, I put a double left arrow, double quotation, rectangle. I want to put some spaces here. I say set W 10, double left arrow, and spaces. After the spaces, I want to display square. I say double quotations, square. If you look at my output, I have rectangle and square. After the set W, I want to change the set fill before the rectangle. I go back to my Visual Studio. I say set fill, and I put nothing there. And I run it again. I reduce the 10 to 6, and the other 10 to 6, and I run it. So the square, I need to move it to the right. So rather than 6, I put 9 here. If you look at my output, you can see that I have two boxes here, and I have rectangle and square. On top of my code, I say question one. So in this example, I'm using the members of IM and IP to create the desired output for question one. If you look at question two, we have a box here as a rectangle. We have width and length under it. I want to create a box. I go back to my Visual Studio. For question two, if I want to create a box, I can kind of use my code from the previous question. I go there and I put this code here to create the box, and I run it. So I need to get the last line in my box. So I copy and paste the first line. And I run it. If I look at my output, I have two boxes here. Rather than two boxes, I want to create one box. So I'm going to change my code. I go back to my Visual Studio. I want to modify this code that it will give me one box. This is 5 spaces. This is set fill of dash. So I will take out this part of my code. Let's run it and see what we get. If you look at my output, you can see that I have a single box now. Let's take a look at the question again. Under this box, we have length. On the right side, we have width. I want to define some variables to store these. I create two string variables, width and length. I go back to my code. I say string W, that is for width, and L for length. I want to create two different variables to store 25 and 30. I say int first num and then second num. So for the width, I want to store the width here. I say equal to double quotation width. For the length, I say equal to double quotation length. The first number is 25. And then the second number is 30. I created two strings variables and two integer variables. I want to display width equal to 25 on the right-hand side of the box. So here I say double left arrow. And I put the W here. I put another double left arrow here. I want to display a string. I put equal here. I put double left arrow here, and I put the first num. Under my box, I want to display length. So I go here and I say cout double left arrow. and I put L here. Double left arrow, double quotations equal. I put double left arrow. I say second number. Double quotation, and I put FT. Double left arrow and end arrow. Let's take a look at my output. If we go to the output, I'm getting width equal to 25 and length equal to 30. I put a space before and after equal. I want to move link to the right-hand side. I go back to my Visual Studio. I say set W10, double left arrow space, double left arrow L, and I run it. Rather than 10, I put 8. I change the set W to the nothing. I change the set fill to nothing. And I run it. So I'm getting the second question, but the length is not in the right place. I change the 8 to 3 and I run. If I go to the output, the length is still not in the good place. I make it 5 and I run it. Now it looks better. I can increase the size of my box. So I have set W5, set fill nothing. I change those 9s to 13, or let's make it 15. I run my program again. So if you look at my output is not right. There's something wrong here. Let's see. We say set W5, set fill nothing. We put nothing. We put the dash. We say set W15. And then we put an empty string there. So the first part, which we want to create the first line, we say 5, nothing, 12, dash. Rather than 12, I put 20. And I run it. Let's change the 20 to 17. Well, let's just make it 18. If you look at my output, I have created and written, I have written question 2 in a different way. It means I'm using the members of IOMAN IP to create this output. I define 2 different variables, string variables, and 2 different integer variables to store them. Let's now work on question 3. Let's look at question 3. For question 3, that's asking you to produce this output. First, we want to display the menu. So let's see how we can do question 3. Question 3 says we want to display this menu. I go back to my Visual Studio. I say cout double left arrow. I say set fill and I put my set fill dash. I say set W and I put nothing in it. I put double left arrow. Double left arrow. I want to display menu. I put double quotation menu. And I say set fill. I change my set fill to dash. And I put nothing in it. And I put double left arrow and L. For the set W, I put 20. Let's try this code. So rather than 20, I put 12. I want to put some spacing here. So on the previous question, I say cout and L and L. Let's take a look at my output. I'm getting some dashes on menu. I want to put more spaces, some spaces before the dashes. I go back to my code. I say set W10, double left arrow space, and I run it. Rather than 10, let's put 6 here. So I have a box of size 6. I put nothing in it. Let's take a look at the output. I want to increase the size of my line, so I put 12 here. This is my space. For the dash, I say set W20, double left arrow, set fill this, and I put nothing in it. Rather than 20, I put 10 here. Let's make it just size of 7. If you look at my output, I'm getting some dashes and then menu. I want to create more dashes. I go back to my Visual Studio. I have this code, set W12.